Stop crying about your genetics and get to work. For real. So the first question is, do your genetics matter? Do they matter? How will they determine my journey? And I'm going to give you the short answer, my short answer, which is no. Your genetics don't mean shit. Your genetics don't mean shit. Your genetics don't mean shit. All right? That's my opinion. That's my opinion. And I'm not a doctor. Now, I want to appeal to authority. So let me just tell you that I am most likely like you, and you are most likely like me. Unless you are a genetic outlier on the high or low end, meaning you have a really amazing physique or the ability to have that, or you have a really horrible physique and no ability to build a good one, right? You're an outlier. Unless you're one of those people, you're most likely like me. Most guys are around the same height. You know, most guys vary around the same weight. Most guys generally look the same. Your genetics, on the whole, are average genetics. And your perception of average genetics is the issue, because you see a guy with a great physique and you assume he has good genetics. I've had that said to me, you know, right after my show when I competed. Of course, I looked fucking amazing. And you could say, oh, you have great genetics. But it's because your perception of good genetics is really, really skewed. And you look at average as bad. And we got to change that. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to envision what you think good genetics is. I want you to envision what you are going to look like in the future. I want you to envision what you want to look like, right? Like your dream physique. I want you to put all of that in a cloud mixed with all of your other expectations that come from the very end goal. And I want you to light the cloud on fire and never make another one, because none of that stuff matters. Everything in that cloud is useless to you. What matters is your day-by-day process, your week-by-week progression, what you do over time, how you progress annually, and how you track this shit. All of that other stuff doesn't matter. And if you think about that stuff a lot, then genetics will matter to you a lot. So let's just break all of this down, all right? So listen, to give you the viewing natural, everything that I think you need in order to put a fork in this conversation so that you can move on to better goals, what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the things that your genetics actually determine. I'm going to give you a list of things either your genetics or your lifestyle determines, and then a list of things your lifestyle determines. And I'll let you be the judge of if your genetics actually matter, but I'm still going to tell you what I feel about it in the end. And I'm also going to talk about body types, because I feel like that's not spoken about enough. Your genetics are set in stone. When you were born, that's what they were. Your parents, their genetics were set in stone, and so on and so forth to the beginning of time. So no, there's nothing that you can actually do about that. And in the fitness world, there absolutely are some things your genetics determine, no questions asked, that you can never change. And this is only referring to naturals, because obviously enhanced people and those who get surgery, they are outside of that spectrum, right? They make their bodies look like what they genetically shouldn't look like. So we can't count those people. We're only talking about naturals here. Your androgen status, your androgen receptor sensitivity or density, which is given to you by your mom, is determining how big you overall can get. So if you live long enough to actually max out everything, how big you get was determined by your androgen status. Your insertions. So when you cut down and you look at your abs, and you see that they're like lopsided, they're not like built like a G.I. Joe where they're all perfect squares. That's because they insert where they insert. These are genetic things. Your chest, your bicep, your back, all of those things, the muscles, the way that they insert, those are genetic things. And so if you have an ugly insertion point, then that's just what it is. And there is ways to train around that to make it look attractive, but that's a whole nother conversation. Your leverage points. This is regarding your skeleton. So if you have long femurs, short ones, long torso, short torso, long arms, short arms, these will determine your leverage points. So people who are often really good at benches, specifically men, because chicks do that crazy arch, but dudes who have really great benches most of the time you notice their arms are a little shorter than maybe dudes who have amazing deadlifts. So these are their leverage points. They're working to their favor, and that's why they excel so much at them. So you can't determine that. That's genetic. Your muscular fiber type, so fast twitch, slow twitch. Some people are more type 2 dominant, some are more type 1 dominant. You're born with that. Your cultural genetics also play a major part in that. African DNA, European DNA, yada yada. You can't really do anything about that. And there are people who say, oh, well, you can train a slow twitch muscle, be a fast twitch muscle. And the science is not definitive on that, so I can't actually agree or disagree with that point. But as far as I know, you can't do that. And it's not technically possible. That doesn't mean that you can't perform as if you did. It just means that I don't believe you're actually changing the muscle fiber type. Show me the science. Your fat distribution is 100% a genetic thing. Listen, I am a guy, I hold body fat up top. I hold body fat right here, but I don't hold it in my back or my quads. I hold it in my glutes, and for the most part, people kind of hold it generally in the same area, but that is still a genetic thing. Either you hold fat, around the waist, or you don't. You can't determine that at all, and you can't spot burn fat. So you can't be like, well, let me just burn fat in my chest. That is not a thing. Finally, and I know that the list could be longer, but we're trying to save time. Your athletic strengths. Not your athletic capabilities, but your athletic strengths. There are going to be some things that you are genetically better at doing. If you can jump, you can jump. If you're playing basketball and you got one of the craziest verticals out there, that is genetic, bro. And you can train to become better, but it's very much a genetic thing. Your athletic strengths are genetic. Debate me if you think that they're not. Yes, you can train outside of your strength and be just as proficient, sometimes more proficient than a person who's genetically gifted. But in the end of the day, if you and a person who is genetically gifted for that sport train at the same exact way and optimize the same way, they're gonna be better. They have a genetic strength to do that, like a big Norwegian strongman. They just dominate that sport because they are genetically built to do that. That doesn't mean that you can't have like a Mark Henry. That just means it's going to be harder for you to produce Mark Henrys. So we're going to do a list of the things that your genetics or your lifestyle can determine. And we're going to go out of order just because the lifestyle portion is more important to me. Your testosterone is determined by your genetics, but it is also determined by your lifestyle. So you can have a high total testosterone, you can have high free testosterone, and that can be a genetic gift in your family. But if you eat like trash and you don't do anything, and you sit in front of the computer and you jack off the Pornhub and you do all this crap, you'll never see that genetic gift. So optimize and also, if you're considering, like HRT or TRT or whatever, because you think you have low testosterone, please optimize your life first. Take the natural route first. Eat better. So start bulking. Sleep better. You see what I'm saying? Optimize all of the things you can naturally. Even when it comes to supplementation, supplement naturally first. And if you don't see a change, if you still don't see a change after 2 years, then take the reins from me and do whatever you want. But please, let me take the reins from you for this one moment in time and suggest that you optimize your life first and see where your testosterone levels actually are after you do that. And don't just do it for a couple months and be like, let me check. Do it for 2 years and see where it's at. Check periodically if you have the ability to. But all I'm saying is, I would prefer you take the natural route before you take any other route. Your metabolism and your sensitivity to food, that's kind of a genetic thing and also a lifestyle thing. I think that your metabolism is more determined by your lifestyle, but there's a lot of science that says that's not true. So I'm not gonna be the one to argue the fat acceptance community. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to fight nobody here. As far as I'm concerned, your lifestyle does determine where your metabolism is, if it's high or low, and your sensitivity to food. food is also a lifestyle choice. If you eat like trash, eventually you'll not be able to eat, certain foods. It's just how that happens. There's gray area there. I'll let you fill that in. Your strength and power and overall size is still a both genetic and lifestyle thing. So like I said, with your androgen status, that determines how big you can get. Most people won't live long enough to get as big as they can get. And also, do we really know how big a human can get naturally? What if you live for 200 years and you're able to put on another 30 pounds more than the heaviest natural? We don't actually know that. But what we do know is that genetically, you might be built to be more powerful, you might be built to be more stronger, have more endurance, and that's something you can see in cultures. So, strong men, they're genetically built to be, you're going to tell me that dudes built like Hathor and Eddie are not built to be powerful, right? Or built for strength sports, you see what I'm saying? Or you look at football and basketball, right? You see people with West African descent dominating that area. That is all genetic, but that does not mean that you can't get a Mark Henry or a Larry Bird. You see what I'm saying? Athletic mastery is something that is both genetic and lifestyle determined. If you're built good for basketball or football, but you don't put in as much work as the shorter guy or the stockier guy, he could be better than you. So this is definitely a lifestyle determined thing, but your genetics plays a big part in it. Recovery management and recovery are two different things. So when we look at your ability to recover, this is definitely genetic, but your recovery management is a lifestyle choice. And if you are good at it, then that can beat out someone with good genetics who does not practice any type of recovery management. So recovery. A lot of the things that you want from fitness, from lifting, from all of this are going to be gained outside of the gym during your rest hours, during your sleeping hours, when you're eating, when you're recovering. When you're in there and you're training hard and you're doing all of that, you're training outside the gym just as much as you're training inside the gym. I saved the lifestyle list for the end because it's how you put a cap to this entire conversation. Because really, it just comes down to a few things. If you don't want it, you're not going to get it. If you put in the time and effort, if you educate and implement properly, if you practice good sleep habits, right? If you do all of these things properly, if you train in the kitchen, then none of this shit even matters. For real, none of this shit even matters. This is all on you. This is a you thing. Your sleep quality, if it's trash, it's up to you to fix it. If you can't put the fork down, then you can't blame your genetics because you're fat. You're fat because you can't put the fork down. Put the fucking fork down. You get what I'm saying? Get into the gym. Make a program. Follow a program. Stick to a program. Stop moving from spot to spot. Trust this, and I see this thing a lot. Trust the process. What is the fucking process? The process is you train hard, you eat right, you sleep good, and you repeat that shit. And you stay hydrated the whole time. That's it. That's the fucking process. Trust that shit. If you do that and you have bad genetics, you're gonna come out better than those with good genetics who don't do any of it. You get what I'm saying? And if you have good genetics or great genetics, you're going to be a fucking beast if you employ all of those tactics. So in the end of the day, the lifestyle choices, your habits, your nature as a man is what is going to determine your success when it comes to this fitness life, when it comes to being healthy, when it comes to getting bigger, stronger, all of that good shit. None of that follows people who don't do shit, and you didn't inherit shit. You are shit because you chose it. And if you don't want to be that, then it's up to you to fix it. I do want to talk about body types, but in the end, I decided that it's really not that important. Yes, there are in general some body types, your mesomorph, endomorph, ectomorph. We've all heard those. There's some in between. I think it's called like somatotypes or some shit. This goes back to what I was just saying. None of that shit actually matters. Let me ask you something. A dude who's built like a rectangle, right? You take an ectomorph dude who's built like a rectangle. If you are going to tell me that a dude built like a rectangle who has adequate muscle and is shredded ain't still gonna look jacked and good, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Look at all of the people. Soccer players are great examples of that. These dudes aren't built like big X frames. They don't have big wide shoulders. These dudes are built straight up and down like a rectangle. But when you look at them shirtless, they look ripped. Most dudes have the ability to achieve, body types that when you look at it from the outside, you think, holy crap, I'll never get there. But when you look at their before picture, you're like, oh, you looked exactly like me. You looked exactly like me. So body types don't really matter, because in the end of the day, you're going to measure yourself against a body type that might not even be yours. I got a friend, we both weigh the same, and the upper portion, he just looks huge as hell. His chest insertions are phenomenal. So his chest looks massive. But he ain't got no back. His back ain't wide. His legs aren't big. You see what I'm saying? So you have to take all of these things with a grain of salt. But like I'm saying, when people look at him, they go, oh, he's enhanced. He's got an amazing physique. He has to be enhanced. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. If you take an average dude, put 20 pounds of muscle on him, put 10 pounds of muscle on him, shred him up, he's gonna look fucking amazing. He's gonna look good. And if you wear clothes that accentuate your frame, then obviously you're gonna look jacked with a t-shirt on. Think about this. Do you want to spend your life, trying to look like Simian Panda? Like, you're not gonna look like Simian Panda. You're not gonna look like that. You're an average, he's a genetic elite. But think about all of the dudes who look just like you, who have had body transformations, and they look like fucking MMA fighters, they look like bodybuilders. I had an average physique, I have an average physique, and when I shredded down, I got second place in classic physique on stage. I looked amazing. I had great, I looked good. That doesn't mean that my genetics were up here. That just means I was able to put in the work. I stuck to all of my plans, and I was like, holy shit, I look good under this. And most of you will be surprised at how good you look under all of that crap that you have on your frame. So remember that. None of this shit matters. Genetics, all of this shit is pointless. What actually matters at the end of the day is, are you going to go hard or not? Are you going to train insane or remain the same? Are you going to be a bitch or are you not? That's the only thing you need to think about. That's the only thing that matters. And if you keep that in your mind, maybe you'll go somewhere. Remember, you are Son Goku. There is no limit to your power levels. Peace out.